Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to today's live coding session. In today's session, we are going to learn the basics of Pydantic. So, what is a Pydantic? Pydantic is the most widely used data validation library for Python. So, you can see here, and we will explore. Definitely, we will execute all these examples. But before that, if you want to know why Pydantic we should use, so these are the pine. This is a powered by type hints, and it's very speed. And by default, you will get a JSON schema. Okay, and it supports Pydantic supports validations of many standard libraries like data classes and typedict. Okay, and there are a couple of more examples here. And if you want to know who are using Pydantic, so these are the companies that are using Pydantic nowadays. And you might be knowing about Fast API. Fast API is highly using a Pydantic for the data validation. Okay, so let's get started with a basic example. Okay, so I have my Jupyter notebook running here. I will be sharing this Jupyter notebook once we are done with this live session. Okay, so the first thing first is we need to import a basic model from the Pydantic. Okay, so I will import base model. Now let's say you are defining a class, okay, user class. So this class is inheriting from the base model. Okay, so now what you can do is you can define the variables, I mean instance variables of this class like name, and you can give the type of this name, which is str, and let's say something like you have an email, and which is again a str. Now let's say account id, this one is like an integer. Okay, now the class is ready. Perfect. Now let's create the instance of this class like user. Sorry. Now to this one, okay, you can pass the name. Okay, so something like this. Let me give some random name here like John, and email is like john at email.com, and finally like account id is equal to, I will go 1 2 3. Okay, so now the instance is ready. Now if you try to print user, see here. Hmm, see here, so we got the response back. Okay, now let's say something like this is a positive, I mean scenario here. Now let's say for this account id, instead of integer, if you pass a string, what will happen? Let's see this here. So I will use this integer here. Now let's try to execute this one. What is happening here? I mean, I don't know, my system is pretty slow this time, but yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I was expecting that when we give a integer, I mean, when we give a string here, it should throw some error. But yeah, I don't see any error here. That's completely fine. We can go back to the documentation and then explore it, why it is not throwing the error. But yeah, let's move on to the next example here. Okay, so now if you see here, when we try to print the object, it is printing the user object here, entire object here. Now let's say something like we want a Python dictionary, okay, of this object. So what we can do is we can do user dot dict, you can type, and when we run this one, oh come on, see here, so we got a Python dictionary here. So if you want to take a look at it, like let me give it a try here. Now I will execute this one. Ta-da. It's done. Now if you try to check the type of this one, user dict, so this is basically the dictionary type, Python dictionary type. Here it's a dictionary type. So what we can do is if we want to print out user dict dot name, so it should be able to give us the value. What has happened here? Dict object has no attribute name. We do have a name here. Okay, so it is not expecting a dot notation here. So maybe we need to do get, since it is a dictionary. So let me give something like this. Now I should get a answer here. See, got it right. So otherwise, yeah, we can use the square bracket syntax as well. Come on. Yeah, see here. So that's how it is. But yeah, we need not to convert that into a dictionary to access individual element from this object. So we have a user here. So I can directly use the user dot name. So it should be able to give us the value. See here? So we got the response back. Okay, so that's how it works. That's about converting into a dictionary. So let me check actually what is happening with my environment here. So maybe I will try to refresh and then see. It's very slow actually. I don't know what is happening. So as you can see here, I'm using Lightning AI's Studio. So they have, I mean, they provide free CPUs to develop Python apps. Not only simple Python apps, even we can develop some AI apps as well. So let's see this one. Okay, now it looks like it's up. Okay, now let's do one thing. Run them all together one time. So this is done. Quickly, it's going up. This is okay, fine. Now let's say something like you have a user object here and you want to convert that into a JSON string. Okay, so for that, actually, if you are not using Pydantic, it's very difficult actually, right? You have to implement it on your own. But since we are using Pydantic base model, so we can simply say user dot, where is this? Yeah, user dot JSON. Now, if you see, let me save it in a variable actually. So user JSON str. Yeah, it's executed. And now if you see, if you try to print out user JSON str, here we got the response in the JSON format here. So which is in the under the string. Okay. So similarly, actually, so similarly, let's say something like you have a JSON string, and using that JSON string, you want to initialize the object. Okay. So now let me take this same example. I will copy this. Now let's say I want to create a user two. Okay, now what I can do is I can simply say user dot capital user. Okay, it's a class I'm talking about. Parse, you can say parse raw. Okay, to this one you can pass the raw string actually. So this is the string that we have, right? So we can pass it. Now what I will do is instead of 123, I will pass like 549 here, and maybe instead of John I will give Paul, and even the email ID as well. So this will be very handy, I mean, when you are trying to create the objects. Okay, let's run this one. It's done. Now if you say user 2 dot name, we should be able to get the name here. Yeah, there is a typo, but yeah, that's okay. Here, so we got it right. So that's how it works actually about this parts raw string. And now let's move on to the next example. Okay, so maybe I will use one of the examples from the Pydantic documentation. Okay, so now let's say you want to define a class called delivery. Okay, class called delivery, and to get the validations, we need to inherit the base model from the Pydantic. Okay, so now I want to have a timestamp for this delivery, and timestamp is a date time, right? So let's import that from date time, import date time. Okay, so now we can mention the type is date time here. And now next value I want for this delivery class is dimensions, right? Where we want to deliver the item. So like this. Okay, so the dimension will have two values. Okay, so what I will do is I will use this as a tuple of two integers. So we need to import this as well from the typing. So this is what it is. Okay, now the class is ready. Okay, so let's execute this one. Now try to create an object out of it. Okay, so I have a code. Let me paste it here. So now what we are doing is I am passing the timestamp here in the string format. Since we have defined it as a date time, it will automatically convert that into a date time object. Okay, Let's see that how it works. Yeah, it's executed. Now if I say m dot timestamp here, see, yeah, see here, you got the output as a datetime object here. So which means, I mean, even though we pass the input as a string here, that got converted automatically by the Pydantic here. Okay. So similarly, this is pretty handy actually. So otherwise, right? So if you do not have this implementation, when we try to assign the value like this, we will get the error. And yeah, even this also, we mentioned this as integer here, but the values that we're passing are the strings, right? So that will also taken care. What is this? Dimensions, right? See see here. So we got the values back here. Okay, so that's how it works. Mhm. So now let's move on to a little complex example. Okay, so where we will see both the examples, a positive scenario as well as the failed scenario as well. Okay, so because see here what we are doing is we have a dimensions. Okay, so for the dimensions it is expecting a tuple of two integers, and we are passing the data. So though it is a string here, so since though it is a string, we can typecast these values into integers, right? But in case, let's assume that you pass instead of 10 here, if you pass like ABC, what will happen? Okay. Do. See here, we got the error, right? So that's how, I mean, that's how the validations will happen here. Okay, but yeah, anyways, for now, let me keep 10 back. Okay, and we will do it in a proper manner. Okay, how we can handle these errors using Pydantic validation errors. Okay, so let's move on and write a simple another class to execute this one. So what I will do is I will define another class called user now again class. Okay, so as usual we need to be extending the base model, and I want a int for this user, that is integer type, and name. The name is str, and if you want to have any default name that you can assign it here. Okay, so any default name that you want. So maybe something like again we'll go with something like Bob. Okay, so that's a default name here. And now let's say something like we want to have a sign up timestamp. Okay, sign up timestamp, and sign up timestamp is obviously a datetime object, or it's a none. Okay, both are accepted. And now let's say some other data here, maybe anything that you want to have it. Okay, so let's say taste. So this user like to taste. Okay, so again this is a dictionary type. So we will give the first one is a string, and the value is it's a positive integer. Okay, so basically let me positive int. So we need to import this one. Okay, from the Pydantic, from and take import positive. The class is ready here. Okay, now let's say we have a dictionary. So something like this. Let me grab the data. Some other example, I'm getting it here. Okay. The ID is like 123 and sign up time is something like this and days. So the wine is giving 9, and then for the cheese, the positive integer is 7 and apple is like 8. Okay. So this is the data we're going to use to initialize or create the instance of a user. Okay. So now let's say user is equal to, okay, capital user, I will say, and here since it is a dictionary, right, I can simply say double asterisk and external data. Okay, execute this one. It's taking time actually to get executed. Yeah, it's got done now. So now let's say if you try to print out, if you try to print out the entire user object, it will print that. Come on. Yeah, see here. So we got it right. And we can get the dictionary object as well. Give me a minute. Actually, I'm getting some error on my OBS. This looks okay to me. Okay. Okay, so it looks like there is a problem with the streaming data. But yeah, anyways, let me complete this example, what I'm working on. And maybe after that, yeah, we can move forward. So there are multiple ways to get the dictionary out of dictionary format of this user object. So the first one is, as we have seen in the previous example, like dict. Okay, so let's see this how it will behave. Come on. See, so we got the dictionary format, and there is one more method called model dump. Okay, so this is also a dictionary type actually, so we can use this as well. So this is model dump is in the latest version of Pydantic. Okay, that is 2.x. Okay, and similarly, if you want a JSON dump, we can use user uh, model dump underscore JSON. So this also can be used to get the JSON dump out of it. Okay, perfect, right? Now let's, so this is all a positive scenario here. Now let's try to uh, write one negative scenario where we will pass incorrect data. Okay, so what I will do is, so here you have seen, right, this is external data we have used where the data is in the correct format. Now what I will do is I will use a different external object here. Okay, so which is in the incorrect format. Yeah, so this is what it is. So id, we are passing id as some string, and this is empty one. This is fine, but here we should be getting the error back. Okay, so how can we handle this one? So first thing first, what I will do is I will import the validation error from the Pydantic. Okay, Pydantic has those validations classes as well. So validation error. Now what I will do is I will just do try. Okay, so here what we will do is we will say user of external data. External. Okay, so now we will try to catch, or in Python we say except validation error as E. Okay. Now we will try to print that error actually. Okay. So what is this error? E dot error. So what we will do is, instead of using normal print, I will use a pretty print. Okay. So that we can see a proper format. So I will use this one now. See, execute this one. Uh, uh, it's running actually. So see here, we got a proper structured error message here. So saying, see, input not an int for the ID. Okay. And at the same time, for the sign up TS, field is required and it is missing, right? Because we did not pass the data for the sign up TS. Okay. So that's how, guys, I mean, that's how this Pydantic help us to do the data validation in Python. Okay. So please check out their documentation, and it's pretty good library to learn. Okay. So if you have any questions or suggestions, right, feel free to drop in the comment sections below, and I will meet you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye.